You're listening to Opportunity U on Fox News Radio. Now back to our show and today's featured guest interview. I have with me for this segment Ron Taylor, Vice President of Franchise Development with Sandler Training, a franchise company based out of Owings Mills, Maryland. Ron, welcome to our show.
Bruce, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. Ron, how about starting out with maybe, give our listeners an overview of the Sandler Training franchise model. How's that sound?
Sure, I'd be glad to do it.
Okay.
Basically, what Sandler is, it's a 29-year-old sales and management training franchise. We have about 175 franchises in the U.S. and Canada, and about 70 more in 26 other countries. And what the franchise owners do, Bruce, is they teach, train, coach, counsel. They teach a very sophisticated selling approach. A lot of people skills, a lot of psychology, but for the most part, it's training salespeople how to sell,
okay,
and it's training sales managers how to handle those people. We've been the number one ranked training franchise 9 times by Entrepreneur Magazine. The Wall Street Journal ranked us one of the top 25 high-performing franchises, but I guess the one we really appreciate the most this year, Franchise Business Review, ranked us number 11 of all the franchises, and of course, they go out and interview your franchisees and find out what they think about you. So
sure,
we appreciate that. But yeah, it's a sales and management training franchise, so it's for someone who loves to sell, likes to train, probably in that order.
Your franchisees, do they just work out of their home, or are they office based, or how does that work?
They normally use for shared office space or executive suites or a Regis Center. They do need somewhere after the first 6 months where they can actually have a training facility, somewhere they could put 15 to 20 people at a time, because we're really known for public training, what's called President's Club training, ongoing reinforcement training,
okay,
which, by the way, is the real key that probably makes us different from any training company out there, is we don't concentrate on the 1 or 2 day quick fix training. We're designed for reinforcement. So we're actually meeting with clients on a weekly basis, doing at least 2 hours of training a week. So, yeah, they do need to have an office, a small office, and some type of training center where they can put 15 to 20 people at a time. So
is it one-on-one or group training or all the above?
It's group training.
Okay.
We train small to mid-sized companies in the beginning, everything from high-tech sales, insurance, real estate, pharmaceuticals, you name it, anyone that's more of a business-to-business approach. And these companies or individuals come to our franchisee's office at least once a week for 2 hours. So it's a classroom approach. So we're teaching the attitudes, behaviors, and techniques of how to sell whatever it is they sell. We know, Bruce, they get plenty of product knowledge with their company, but in most cases, they don't get techniques of how to go out and sell it. So we do classroom training, but we also do private training where we go into companies and train them on site. That's normally more of a 1 or 2 day approach where we come in maybe once a month and train their people on site. And if we're going to do that, we're going to get much more industry specific when we go into those companies. So
you touched on it earlier. I mean, I'm sure you have competition out there, like my business or any other business out there. There's competition out there in the marketplace. What makes you different, from the competition? Both from the standpoint of a customer, coming to Sandler for, help with their sales system, and as a franchise opportunity.
Selling Power Magazine said at one time we were 3 to 5 years ahead of our competition, and what they said, Bruce, they said 2 things. One is that we're the only company, at least that they know of or that we know of, that does ongoing reinforcement training. And as you know, psychologists say 50% of what you hear you're going to forget in 48 hours. So if that's true, you've got to reinforce the behaviors. So
right.
We're bringing people back over and over again to make sure they take ownership of what we're teaching them. So that's one key. And then second, we're 180 degrees from traditional selling. David Sandler said, look at what the traditional salesperson does, and you do 180 degrees opposite. So you're going to find that the Sandler approach does not look like everyone else who's out on the street. And I would say those are the real key differences from, at least from the training standpoint of what we do. We don't do traditional sales. And then again, we reinforce it instead of trying to do the 1 or 2 day quick fix approach. We really don't have a lot of competition out there. I mean, until you get to the maybe the Fortune 1000 companies. There's not a lot. I mean, of course, everyone who gets downsized, right-sized, they hang out a shingle and say, I'm a trainer. But unfortunately, if you don't have the best in curriculum today, using adult learning process, you're not going to get into the doors of these companies. And that's where Sandler is so far ahead, because the people who are joining us are franchisees who have been heavy hitters in their old world, and they bring those talents and abilities to us. They match it with our curriculum, and they're really able to get into the doors of big companies today.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. As far as entry costs, what are the costs for someone interested in getting into a Sandler franchise?
Sure. Franchise fee is $68,000. That's what it takes to get up and running with us. That's the franchise fee, and that gives them curriculum. It gives them training and support. We bring them to Baltimore for 8 days of initial training. Plus, we assign a coach to them. There's a old buzz line in franchising that says you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And in this case, it's true. They're going to not only get 8 days of training in Baltimore, but they get a coach assigned to them that they can talk to once a week or once a day. We want them to have 6 to 9 months of living expenses put aside so they don't have any pressure. Or if they have a spouse that's bringing in income, that's the same thing. But we sure want them to have, Bruce, the 6 to 9 months of income set aside. So let's just say they have at least $100,000 available to go into a business. It doesn't matter what business they go into. It's short-term discomfort for the long-term gain. And, of course, they'll be able to talk to other Sandler franchisees and find out what they've been able to accomplish and the lifestyle that they've been able to accomplish as a result of being with us.
Is the business scalable? I mean, can someone come in as an individual franchisee with a single license and then grow it into a territory with a team under them?
Yeah, most do that, Bruce.
Okay.
The people who join us are, I call them corporate misfits. They're burned out on traveling, burned out on babysitting employees, want to be home at night, home on weekends, and have a life. But yet, after a period of time, they're going to want to at least bring on one administrative person and probably 2 or 3 people to go out and do some of the selling for them so they can spend more of their time training and working with some of these larger corporations that may want them to come in 1 or 2 days at a time.
I've been speaking with Ron Taylor, Vice President of Franchise Development with Sandler Training. Ron, many thanks for being on our show today.
Bruce, thanks for having me anytime.